Welcome, everyone. Welcome back, I should say, to the Havoc Hour. Once again, as always, I'm your host, Wreak Havoc. Been a while, but you guys know why we are here. Of course, we're going back to our cinema series, as always. And of course, I had to go get my cinema panel back with me, as always. And first off, of course, I'm going to go ladies first. My client, the Shaman of Sheeleek, the one and only, just by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Passed recently. So my client, Miss Katie Kinzy Bebe.
What up?
And of course, the patron saint of podcasting, the host of the number one wrestling podcast on Pornhub, the Warden Matt Ritter. And we have a guest with us. I don't know who's here. I guess this, if you didn't already know, we were supposed to be covering Scream, and I guess the person that's joining us just decided that they were just gonna jump in and be festive. So
I've been getting DMs about gutting me like a fish,
Yeah.
and all sorts of weird shit. So
yeah, and we all have our phones. Anybody phones ring yet?
I am.
No.
No.
Yeah. Well, just don't answer them. I think that's the best course of action, as we're going to find out as this goes along here. For those who don't know, typically what we like to do with our franchises is we're going to go through each movie, which now has 5 movies for Scream, and we're going to go over our thrills, the things we like, our kills, the things we don't like. And if we did feel indifferent, right between the middle, we're going to give it a nice little stab, and I think that's appropriate, especially tonight. So, with that being said, we're going to kick it off with my man, Mr. Matt Ritter, who gives our very unique synopsis on every movie, starting with the original that started it all, Scream.
do we want to wait for our guest to appear before I start running down the synopsis?
That's a good question.
I don't want to piss him off and start getting threatened again.
Well,
My favorite scary movie, by the
got a
way,
couple
is
minutes.
Riley Reid in Forbidden All Black Door.
That is not a scary movie, sir. It's not a scary movie.
It is if you've seen how tiny Riley Reid is.
Oh my god.
I was terrified for her.
Again, people, number one wrestling podcast on Pornhub.
Sorry, I had to jump back in. I had to jump in on that one.
Oh man.
I had to jump back in.
And now that he's here,
The mystery is solved. My co-host from Young Kings Wrestling, TC Fontaine, aka
Hey.
Ghostface Killer, for the evening.
Sir,
Right.
yes, new nickname.
All
What's
right.
going on, guys?
All right.
What up?
so
Everybody's
I
good.
couldn't hold it. I was like, yeah, I can't I can't not jump back in on that one, bro.
Good job, man.
Oh, that was good stuff. All right.
I've
take it
done my
away.
job for the night. All right, Scream. White kids are dying in the suburbs. Just when you thought it was safe to go back to high school, Wes Craven returns with the now classic meta horror slasher Scream. The main protagonist is Sidney Prescott, who, despite her mom having been for the streets, insists on remaining a virgin and giving her boyfriend Billy Loomis blue balls. As the body count slowly rises and her friends are dying, Sidney, with the help of a cop turned WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Malibu's most wanted horror expert, and a broadcast journalist who got famous writing a book about Sidney's mom's death, we discover that Billy and Shaggy, Stu Macher, are the murderers and have been framing Sidney's father the entire time. He continues to do this even after Sidney finally gives it up. Partly because he has blue balls, but mostly because Sidney's mom fucked Billy's dad and they got a divorce, and he's really pissed about it. And Stu's just along for the ride because he's a fucking psychopath.
Mhm.
That's well
Good
done.
job.
That was it.
I like it. I like it. Well, ladies first. What are your thrills? What do we like?
I mean, there's not a whole lot that I don't really like about this movie. This being like the first one in the franchise, it really does a good job of like giving us good characters, like Randy, Stu, Sydney, Gail, everybody. It sets up the like a good plot. You don't really know who it is. You don't really think it's two people. It's a good whodunit, and those aren't really popular, or they really weren't back then. Yeah, like I said, there's not a whole lot that like I don't really like about this movie. It's iconic for a reason.
Got you. Absolutely. Fellas,
You want kills?
thrills.
Thrills? You want thrills? The fact that Wes Craven directed this and had Drew Barrymore throw in the line after talking about Nightmare on Elm Street that the rest of the franchise sucked.
Yeah.
Fred the janitor, the fact that Fonzie was the principal and got killed. Love the Fonz.
Man, got his ass cooked.
The fact that Randy is the reason why I didn't think being a horror movie fan would let me get any bitches. So I hid that in through like my mid-20s. Like I didn't let that out because when Randy starts freaking out and he's talking to Stu and he's all like, do you think Sydney will go out with me now? And he's like, no, bro. No, she won't. Like, I'm like, yeah, probably not.
Damn.
And yeah, it's a great fucking movie with a lot of throwbacks. We've talked about Nightmare on Elm Street. And we talked about how Wes Craven really invented meta horror with New Nightmare, but this is what is considered like the start of meta horror, where they acknowledge that horror exists and there are rules to it for a slasher, and this is a slasher based on all that. So,
no doubt. Go ahead, bro.
Man, so yeah, this one, it just made me think of Scary Movie the whole time I was rewatching it. Like I haven't watched Scream in years, but I love the original. Like it started just every little parody, every reference of my young childhood I remember was based around Scream primarily. The Ghostface. I had a Ghostface mask as a kid for some reason. It actually made me scared that people could do this for real, like the copycat killer thing from Scream 2, which we'll get to. But I love it, dude. Like Drew Barrymore, probably one of my favorite horror movie scenes ever. Between that and like the bathtub scene in Nightmare, probably my top two. Man, I'm about to go watch it again.
Yeah, the two main things for me is well, Matt mentioned it before. It's the concept of truly getting into meta and that commentary on horror films as a whole, because Scream was like the first movie that kind of gave you the manual on how to survive if you were in a situation. That's the whole thing about what Randy was doing at the party. He's like, listen, these are the rules you got to follow. This is how you have to, what you got to do if you want to survive, if you got a killer on the loose and stuff like that. And, throughout, every time, Ghostface calls somebody, they start talking about, oh, well, this is what this stupid girl does in that situation. But then they turn around and they do the exact same thing. So that's like, it's hilarious to watch. But also it's like the unpredictability of it, because when you go back to that, when they were promoting it, you saw Drew's face on everything. Like she was like the main person who promoted it, and when like in the first 15 minutes, she's gone, gutted. So it's like you don't know what was coming around the corner at this point. So I mean that's always solid to see, and when you're trying to do something new in the genre, that's important. You got to keep people on edge a little bit.
Yeah, like that was like the most controversial-ish thing is Drew Barrymore, like you said, she was like the poster child for Scream, and then immediately fucking killed off, and I was like, well, what the fuck is this? Like, what do we do now?
They hit us with Stomp the Yard, man. Y'all can't tell me y'all didn't go see Stomp the Yard for Chris Brown and he dies in the first 5 minutes.
That's true. That's true.
I went for Neo.
It was a lot.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
It was a lot of females.
I was so sick.
Nah, it was a lot of females angry in that movie theater.
Oh yeah,
a lot. It was the wrong year to try to do that. So we got any more thrills before we go to kills?
Stabs are just kind of some commentary that aren't really kills. I got. Originally, when I was watching this back, when I put down in my notes the first time, I was like, why did Stu kill his girlfriend? Like, what was the motivation of killing his girlfriend? Like, she was putting out, like, so he didn't have the blue ball aspect and all this. And then there was a scene where she said that it's like Sydney's living in a Wes Carpenter film, and I completely understood why Stu killed her. Completely justified, so I'm good with that. Also, how you know what, I'm gonna save that for a kill, but so we'll hold on to that. Yeah, I guess the rest are kills then. So yeah, I'll just hold on to those. We'll go on.
Just go into your kills then. Well, now
All
I'm
right.
curious.
Yeah.
No nudity. As a slasher fan, a big part of the genre for me has been nudity, and this entire franchise has no nudity from the beginning, which is fine, but also I would have appreciated it personally.
The Tatum scene didn't do it for you?
Yeah, it was cold in that room, but still.
That's true.
There's a little dialogue that doesn't hold up, like when they're interrogating Billy, and he goes, "What were you doing with a cellular telephone, son?"
Everybody's got
I'm like,
one.
It's 1996, man. We got.
I understand, which brings me to my next point. How fucking easy is it to clone a cell phone? Because I don't know how to do that. I've never Googled how to do that, but back in 1996, you couldn't Google how to do that. But throughout the franchise, they're just constantly getting a hold of people's cell phones and cloning them and using them. And I need to know how easy it is to clone a cell phone, because apparently any fucking high schooler can do it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And then last but not least, I do not any longer, as of today, because I rewatched the movie today, believe in Billy's motivation for murdering Sydney. Because there is no way he was still crazy after post-nut clarity. Post-nut clarity is a real thing, and there's no way he busted that nut and was like, you know what, I'm gonna still kill her.
Man, I think you get enough kills under you. You didn't kill everybody at the school already. You might as well just finish off your whole crew, go and set up her daddy, and then go about your way.
I suppose.
Can't turn back. You killed about 17 people.
Well, and the other thing too is, as we would later find out, there was still at least one person who knew exactly what he had done from start to finish. So there's always the possibility that she could find out and you'd have to kill her anyway. So,
but I mean, if you think about the scene, she literally went from like virgin who will not let her boyfriend touch her, who accused him of attacking her and was right, and then got fooled to thinking that he wasn't, to she sat down and looked at him and basically said, "Let's make a porno." He's like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's." I believe the line was, "Why can't I be in a Claire Danes movie or at least a good porno?" And he's like, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "Yeah, you heard what I said." And then they fucked. So she embraced full on for the streets heritage that's running in her blood, passed down from her mother.
well, I think a lot of trauma was doing that. Just said, "Fuck it." A lot of dead people. Maybe just live it up tonight. Who knows?
It wasn't really like a lot of dead people. It was only like a handful.
A lot.
But for this franchise, I think it's the lowest body count.
Has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Just saying.
But impactful. You got any more kills, Matt?
No. Post-nut clarity was the end.
I see that point, though. I see that point. Go ahead, Katie.
Like I said, I don't really have anything, like nothing. I just went last year to see the 25th anniversary in theaters, which was really fucking cool because I was a fetus basically when the movie came out, so I didn't get to see it in theaters. But going back to see it was really cool.
Say you were a fetus. That was around the time I started to remember life.
I was 1 when the movie came out, so
I was 9.
I was a child.
Was 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 4.
So yeah, there's not much, like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that like is a kill for me.
No, Scream 1 is a perfect movie. I have nothing bad to say. I mean, yeah, like Matt was kind of saying, it is a little dated when you watch it from modern eyes, but I tend to disregard these things. I think it actually makes certain movies like a little bit more enjoyable when you're like, nah, that's not how things work nowadays. Like, I get the sentiment, but Yeah, cellular telephone. Nobody calls it that.
No, not even close.
Nah, yeah, Scream 1, perfect movie. Yeah, Drew Barrymore's acting was amazing. Like in that little bit of work that she did, easy check too. Easy check. Got that rocking Samuel L. Jackson and the other guys check.
Yeah. I got two things. I won't say they're kills. They're more like stabs. Number one, obviously you knew that it was either Stu or Billy, and they just kind of dragged it along to come to the conclusion that we already kind of put out there already. It's like you couldn't have threw a wrench in there somewhere. Like I think the only thing was that there was two of them at the time. But I mean,
Stu was a crazy weirdo too, so it was kind of obvious.
yeah, it's like once you got to the scene where he shows up at Sydney's house and the cell phone drops, that's like, oh, it's him. So what are we still putting the smoke and mirrors out for? We know what's gonna happen. And they just give us a little bit of doubt at the end. But the other one, and this is the real one, you mean to tell me her pops was locked up in a closet and my man couldn't make no noise from the time, however long he was put in that room, all the way through the rest of the day? Like, how long has he been sitting in that closet not making any noise that anyone could hear?
I mean, there was a party. You could have walked by, heard him make a noise, and think someone was fucking in the closet. Like,
but I mean, like before everyone got there, like the start of the party, there's too much time went by, too much, because he supposedly left. What, like the day or 2 days before they even got to this point? So how long? That's what I'm saying. How long has he been? Right? How long he been sitting in that closet for? A day or 2 days without making a lick of noise that somebody could hear?
well, see, this is the problem: is white parents just leave their kids alone all the time, unsupervised, to do a bunch of dumb shit like kidnap someone's father, stuff them in the closet. They like go on trips and shit, and don't worry about like what fucked up shit their children are getting into and doing while they're gone. No supervision whatsoever.
Yeah, that figures. That figures. All right, so we're all done.
Shame,
so we're all got all our kills, thrills. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay, grades.
A+++. The Roman Reigns of Scream movies.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Definitely give it an A+.
A+.
This is going to be one of those things where I'm going to give it an A+, but it is not my favorite in the franchise, but I do consider it the best. Kind of like Halloween, I consider the best in the franchise, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so Matt,
What's your grade?
if you will. Oh, well, yeah, still A+. Definitely.
I just wanted you to say it.
I got it ranked up there. But yeah, back to Matt for Scream 2.
Much like the franchise, the following recaps will not be as good as the original. So I hope you enjoyed the first one. We open with Will finding Jada on a date with Omar Epps and killing them both. Sydney is in college and decided maybe it was time to make a black friend. Cotton Weary, who was Sydney's mom's lover and framed for her murder, is out of jail and doing a press tour. As students start dying at her college from a copycat killer, including Randy, Sydney has to figure out why everyone hates her. Dewey's hanging around after the initial murders because he's got nothing better to do, and he gets fucked up. Sydney lets her boyfriend die because she has severe trust issues. We find out the killers are Billy's mom, who's apparently lost so much weight that no one recognized her. And I just lost my spot. Billy's mom, Mickey, who was a film student who was basically using Billy's mom as his sugar mama and also to get famous. Nancy Loomis betrays Mickey. Cotton saves the day via blackmail because he wasn't going to do it if he didn't get what he wanted. But he did get his Diane Sawyer interview, and everyone is happy in the end.
Yep. Sounds about right. So, whoever wants to go first for thrills.
Jada Pinkett getting stabbed the fuck up. Because again, I thought a scary movie the entire time. I'm like, Wayans brothers are funny as fuck for this. Because like, can you imagine that being the motive? Because she was just talking too fucking much in the movie and it just came back and stabbed her.
Hell yeah.
because it's relatable. Like, yeah, you talk too much in a movie. Yeah, I probably would stab you too.
I
That's
also
just
like my
facts.
narrative that Will had enough.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Oh yeah.
Put the man's jacket back on and everything. That's
Watch-
tough.
Watching that back now after that whole shit happened, like I'm shocked I haven't seen like somebody try to edit that scene.
Bro, exactly. Thank you. I said the same thing. I was like, why did I not see this? Because I totally forgot that Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps are in this movie. So like, I was like, why did I not see this whole time? That was a missed opportunity for me.
For real,
Definitely could have got some hits off of that. Always miss. You never can miss a chance to go viral.
No, not
Sure.
at all. Not at all.
For thrills, I mean, the cast is like the greatest hits of white actors in the fucking 90s. You've got Jerry O'Connell, Timothy Oliphant, Joshua Jackson, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Tori Spelling, and Heather Graham, along with Rebecca Gayheart, who doesn't do shit anymore, but did everything in the fucking 90s. Also, my favorite thing is that the black cameraman was smart enough to get the fuck out of there. He was not reliving the trauma of the last cameraman.
And Dwayne Martin did not get a lot of checks after a certain time period, but he made sure to get this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I like how Dwayne Martin and Jada Pinkett are both in this movie. If you know, you know.
Facts.
I'm gonna spare the details. If you know, you know. That's it.
There you go. You got any more, Matt?
Dewey finally gets Gale, kind of. So
Kind of. I mean, he cops a feel at least. So
their whole fucking relationship through this whole entire series is extremely undefined and weird. Every time you see them off screen, they were married or together, and then we come back and they're not together anymore, and then they fall in love again at the end of the movie, but we never see them together and in love except for one film.
Yeah, they're like the stock market. They have the highs and then the fucking drops. Like it's makes no sense at all. Katie, what you got?
I mean, keeping up with technology at the time, Sydney has a fucking oh my god, what is it called?
Pager? Or is
No.
it caller ID?
BlackBerry?
Caller ID. Jesus fucking Christ. It's been a long day. But her having that and being like, no, fuck off, and saying the kid's name and his number back to him is smart. It does prove that Sydney is a good final girl for being smart in that aspect, because she kind of learned. This movie just takes lots of turns. Like, you don't really expect Billy's fucking mom of all people to show up. Like Matt said, the characters are great. Like, Sarah Michelle Gellar deserved better in this movie, personally speaking. I love Sarah Michelle Gellar, but and yeah, like it was like Randy's kill was good, very like not expected, but kind of expected. So yeah,
Buffy couldn't get any offense, not even a little bit.
apparently not.
Real quick, I think we need to give some respect to Sarah Michelle Gellar as a horror movie queen, as a horror queen in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like we got, I Know What You Did Last Summer, this Buffy. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that is true.
That's fair.
Show some love. Show some love.
I love her.
That's true. That's true. I mean, y'all got most of them for me. Definitely that opening kill, the whole scene in general, because
it was really anxiety inducing to watch. Like knowing that people in real life are getting killed in movie theaters and stuff. It was kind of uncomfortable a little bit because I couldn't imagine being in that environment. Right, in real life.
You picture, because it's kind of like the haunted houses that people go to. You like everyone's sitting in there, got a mask on, and going crazy about this movie.
This scene would never happen in real life.
Oh, not at all.
They would never allow that.
Nah,
which made it even more uncomfortable, especially when you've seen it before. You're like, man, people about to fucking die.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, people have empathy after they actually see somebody dead.
Right, and the fact that they had no idea what was going on until she's literally standing on top of the screen bleeding. Like
that was very dramatic too, by the way. Like very, very, very film dramatic.
Oh yeah,
before they brought it back and Roseanne fucked up her entire career, did anyone watch the Roseanne show originally?
Yeah.
A couple episodes here and there.
Because Billy's mom was I think Roseanne's sister on that show. And didn't like her husband leave her, or she was divorced or some shit?
Oh God. I mean, she was married once in the show, and then I think he left.
I'd like the idea that she is in real life Roseanne's sister, who husband left her or cheated on her. She moved in, spent all this time with Roseanne, and then came back and started murdering people.
Not bad.
Roseanne probably talked her into it too.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Gave her some Ambien and said, "Go do that shit."
Oh yeah, yeah. Roseanne was definitely gasoline to that fire. Which is something else that I like. Because if you were gonna continue this whole story and have another person being that person going around doing this shit, it's an easy transition from, okay, this kid was doing this and his mom, who was somewhere off screen while all this was going on in the first movie, say, oh, well, my son is dead, so let me just go on a rampage a la Mrs. Voorhees and Friday the 13th, which was talked about in the original movie. So I like that little bit of a callback in there too.
Also, I'm pretty sure Wes Craven must have been a Roseanne fan, because he had Roseanne in Nightmare 6 and then Roseanne's sister in this. So he's just Roseanne and Tom Arnold were in Nightmare 6.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Oh yeah,
I remember.
I forget that they were married, or are they still married? I don't know.
Who knows? I don't think
cares?
so.
Yeah, it don't matter anymore.
So we got to see the first of, actually no, the second of Dewey's near death experiences.
Got fucked up.
That he almost went undefeated for, but
oof.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Damn.
We gonna get there.
Okay.
I like Mickey's character, but I got something for kills on him too. His character was good, but then there's a flip side to it. But yeah.
Also, since we're talking about Dewey, it's worth mentioning that in another movie he was in, they wanted him to be a cop, and he fought against it, and then eventually became a wrestler whose character was a cop. But like, why is he always playing like these haphazard cops, or these unwilling, dopey police officers?
He must have been a Barney Fife fan all his life. That's the only thing I can think of. So something drew him to it.
I'm going to create a cinematic universe where Roseanne is canon to Scream, as is Ready to Rumble.
Find a way.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope. All right. So, what are our kills for part 2?
There's a scene in Randy's film theory class that kind of triggered me. So I'm gonna give that one a kill, just because that's exactly how film students act in real life. Like 100% down to the T, bro. And I was like, hey. I'm gonna tell a quick story. I went to I went to a party once, a bunch of film students, and there was one dude there reading a Donald Glover script the entire time. Like, this is lame. This is lame, dude. I had a fun time. It was just kind of lame.
Damn. I did wonder about that when I watched this scene, so I'm glad to have some insight on that, because I didn't think it was really like.
Oh no, that was accurate.
Damn,
100%.
No nudity. You may hear that at least 3 more times. So
crazy.
Also, I didn't like Mickey's motivation the whole movies. Like, I know what they were doing. They were doing the, at the time, the whole movies create killers, music creates killers, video game creates killers, and that was going to be his motive, because that was what was going on. Horror movies are the reason that people go crazy because they watch them. If that was true, I would have killed more people than I have by now. But no, that whole fucking
You're not gonna speed past like you ain't say what you just said.
Figuratively, in like Halo and Gears of War, and you know. But all of
Yes.
the violence I've consumed, as big of a horror movie fan as I am, the violent video games, Mortal Kombat, the other two that I just mentioned, if it was true and it was pre-programming you to be a killer, I would be out here murdering people. And I, as far as the cops know, have not murdered anyone. So,
I'm about to say, the body counts off of GTA alone. Like,
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah, for real. Katie, you got any?
I mean, it's kind of like what Matt was saying about Mickey. It's the fact that you see him in like 3 scenes in the beginning, and then you don't see him at all the rest of the fucking movie until the very end when he's like unmasked. Like typically, like you see like Billy and Stu like throughout the whole original, and that kind of leaves you like, oh well, like a little doubt, like oh maybe it's not them, but whatever. Mickey's in like 5 scenes and then not shown until the very fucking end. Like,
and Randy nailed it. Randy said Mickey, the creepy film student, like he was on point. Shout out to Randy.
Randy's are so much better.
Facts. That, by the way, is my first kill because I feel that if this was going to be a trilogy, Randy should have made it at least to the 3rd movie. Like,
Yeah.
you don't kill the guy who's got all the answers. Like that. That's how you make it. For real.
He almost got cooked the first movie though. Like
Yeah, he
he
was
behind you,
yeah,
which I thought was funny because he's talking to himself in real life. Like
right,
behind you. It's kind of funny.
right. Yeah,
But,
man. He was just like,
I don't know how he survived that one.
yeah, he was towing the line for real.
Like that movie's not that good, bro.
Nah. Well,
when you got a killer on the loose, like in your town, and your town is like full of maybe 300 people at most, you should probably be more alert about what's going on. I'm just saying. I'm black though, so like, think about it a little bit more logically.
Yeah. Like we all love Halloween. But if I'm in
Arguably the best horror movie ever made.
But I get what you're saying. Like if you're in a real life scenario like that, I'm sorry, I can put it on pause or something like that for later, while I make sure that I'm good.
I'm not even watching that. Like I'm not watching a movie about a killer when there's a serial killer on the loose in my town of 400 people. That's just, I'm not doing that.
No, that's true.
I'm not doing that.
That's true. That's like bad juju.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm not even there. I'm not even at this party, bro. Like I'm not even.
That's
I'm
why.
moved.
That's why the camera. That's why the cameraman survived. Is because he has TC mentality.
Well, the thing is, he dipped after I think the 2nd kill, after Sarah got killed in the frat house.
You should have.
Like he was like, "Yo, I didn't come in for this. I didn't sign up to be a part of murder mystery, you know. So I'm out."
I read your book. I heard what happened to the last guy, and I ain't doing this shit.
That is the most realistic scene in the entire series. Every black person would have did the same thing.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna just throw this out. This is probably a stab, but listen, Gail is probably the worst boss to have ever. Because how's this man gonna tell you, listen, I read what happened to your cameraman. I'm not about this. I'm not trying to get killed. And you just tell him, oh, listen, that's not true. He wasn't gutted. His throat was slashed. Like,
that makes me feel better.
That's real peace of mind for me and my safety. Like, he's still dead. What the difference does it make?
Mind you, she also called her first cameraman a fat piece of shit repeatedly throughout the first
constantly.
movie.
Yeah,
abusive as all hell.
Yeah,
he said, "I know you're about 350 pounds, but yeah, I forget what happened." Yeah, she got mad at him because he couldn't get over to shoot Sydney before she dipped off.
Oh man,
she's terrible. She's a terrible person. She probably should have died in the first movie.
Listen, there's a couple, at least within the first 2 movies, she had earned herself a good killing after the first. Matt already mentioned, I was definitely on the thing about Mickey's motivations. That was my kill, because the way he's talking is like basically he's mirroring OJ pretty much. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to be hyped for the trial and stuff like that, and I'm going to have this defense. Like, bro, that's only gonna work for one person in this lifetime, and it's up, it's done. So you asked out for that. It's not gonna happen again. But this one, and I hate that I have to do it because I watched it back, and I'm very very upset because Sydney doesn't have a habit of doing dumb shit, but this was one of the scenarios where she did. They're driving. Ghostface pulls up on the car. He's in the driver's seat. It's crashed. Dude got impaled through the head on the windshield. His gun is sitting right in his hand. You crawl across this dude and get out of the car. And you help at least get out the car so that she could get out. You know, y'all be safe. You turn around and say, I want to see who he is. But there's a gun over there. If you were going to go back, you should have shot him. You should have shot him when you got out of the car in the first place. The fact that you just assume that, oh, he's just knocked out, he's not going to wake up, is like, the double tap rule applies here, especially when you've already survived this shit once. Why are you taking chances in a second go around? You got your friend killed, is what I'm saying. She got a friend killed.
In Halloween Kills, that nurse got the gun kicked back into her face and just blew her own brains out.
She just look. The worst part about that was that she was talking shit beforehand, talking about, oh, you don't know how to use that. Let me see it. And you don't know how to use that shit either. So
also, you abandoned your husband for like 5 minutes while he was getting stabbed and did not come back.
I still want to know what happened, like where she went.
Bro, like where the fuck did she go?
Like you was trying to like get in position to shoot or something, because that whole time I
still want fucking answers.
I'm mad at her for Marion, because I had to watch Marion get gutted up for a second time in 20 years when she ain't do nothing to nobody. Like that got me mad. You just sitting up there trying to find a way to shoot before showing back up.
I honestly believe she said fuck it and then had a change of heart about a quarter mile down the road and then came back because she realized she left her husband behind and he wasn't coming. But I'm pretty sure she just took the gun and ran. She was not having any of that.
Pisses me off. Whatever.
That's a damn shame. Damn shame. My man got his brains cut into while he was out here bullshitting. So any more kills or stabs?
Stabs. Did we talk about the fact that when Will showed up and killed Jada, they were watching the Stab movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is another aspect of the meta horror of this movie, is now it is a movie based on the tropes of horror movies where there's a movie made about the movie in the movie.
Yep.
It like hurts my brain.
And this is honest. That's why Scream 3 sucks so fucking much, for that reason exactly.
Yeah. And we just skipped right over Stab 2 as well. So,
well, we skip a lot, right? We jump to like Stab 6 by 4, and then by 5 we're at Stab 8. So,
hey, damn.
Yeah. By 5 they had reboots, which
requels.
That's a whole
a whole scene talking about requels as we're watching the requel, referencing everything that we're watching at that moment. We'll talk about that. 5.
Yeah, we'll talk about
that. Real quick grades for part 2.
I give Scream 2 like a B plus. Like not as good as Scream 1, but it's solid.
I'd give it a B without the plus.
Solid 90s sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, just solid B.
Cool.
A grade on a scale, B minus.
That's fair. I give it to him. Okay, let's get the trash out of the way and go to part 3.
Scream 3. Surprise! Someone else wants to kill Sydney because her mom liked to fuck around. Cotton gets killed right off the bat. Sydney, who is a crisis counselor in the middle of nowhere, is seeing the ghost of her mom, who I'm pretty sure spent a lot of time with The Godfather. It all takes place around the filming of Stab 3. The movie seems cursed as all of the actors and actresses are being killed in the same order that they die in the movie. Sydney is sucked back in to find out that the killer is her half-brother. Sydney's mom not only got around Woodsboro, but apparently Hollywood too, and gave him up for adoption. And the whole reason he's pissed is because Sydney got to live a life of glamour and fame in Woodsboro that he never got, apparently. Jealous that mommy left him behind and Sydney had to live with the tragic history that became what made her famous. Also, the only film to only feature one killer.
Yeah. Although I have heard the theories that what's her face might have been a second. The chick that was playing Sydney in the movie.
Yeah, she's not important, and I didn't see it, so
Yeah.
unless they dropped that director's cut where she's in the outfit and there's a collaboration, there was one killer this movie.
Yeah. I saw something about it not too long ago, and if you line it up with some of the scenes in there, it would make sense that she could be. And then Roman said at the end of the movie, like, "Listen, I'm just cutting ties at this point," and killed her off at the party or at the house. So I could see it, but it just doesn't matter because this did not do it at all.
Nope.
But that being said, are there any thrills in here to find?
Sydney finally fights back, like actually fights back. Like she took some Krav Maga classes and said, "I'm gonna stand up for myself this time."
That's true.
I'm a big fan of just in movies in general where they take place inside of a movie. I don't know. I love film inside of films. Like I'm probably one of the few people who puts like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood maybe top 2 in Quentin Tarantino's filmography. Don't come for me because it's just an opinion. But yeah, I love that trope. So probably that's the best thing about it, honestly.
Filmception.
Yeah.
Kind of piggybacking off of Matt, Sydney working for like a crisis center and like using her trauma to help other people is really cool because like that's what typical survivors of trauma can do, and that's what a lot of them do like after they experience shit like this. So it was a very realistic thing for them to do. So I liked that. That's about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cotton getting cooked was fun. From
Oh,
what
yeah.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that all the people that clearly were annoying as hell in this movie got to die.
But Cotton was he sucked in 2, but by 3, especially with him coming home and driving on the like, I was actually kind of hoping Cotton was like I kind of like Cotton by 3. I'm not gonna lie. Like the kill was dope and it was fun, but I did not hate Cotton when I did the rewatch. I'm watching it. I'm like, I don't hate Cotton as bad as I think I would have back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I wasn't caring as much for Cotton when I got here. The bodyguard was a douchebag. He had to go. Jenny McCarthy, whoever she was, I forget the name of her character. She just didn't make sense in the cast at all. Like she was just playing up to whatever her character was supposed to be in Stab, and yeah.
But her complaining about her having to be a stereotype and again, no nudity and complaining that she was going to be naked. And then we didn't get it.
That's just bitter. You didn't get to see boobies in the franchise.
At all. Ever.
I'm so sorry.
That is crazy.
So I can't tell y'all the last time I seen Scream 3. It's been over a decade. But I forgot my boy Dion Richmond was in this. He's a Hall of Fame in my list for black people that nobody else knows. So
yeah, I got something.
Cosby Show, sister. Come on,
I got something for that when we flip to the other side.
You got to kill for that
guy.
Yeah, well, it's you can probably figure out what it is.
Yeah, stereotypical black horror, man.
Yeah. But first headshot that I can remember, or actually no, technically second, because Billy was kind of dead, but was just
also Billy's mom got the headshot too, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
well,
dead center.
I would say she was dead too, but Sydney just double tapped again.
Mm-hmm.
Sydney got a thing. Again, this is what made me aggravated in part 2. It's like you can double tap any other time, but that time you just didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Maybe she learned her lesson that time, and then she's like, "All right, well,
Yeah.
not again. Fucked up twice."
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess that's pretty much it. I don't have a whole lot of shit for it. In hindsight, it was kind of if you watch this today, it kind of gives you sort of an idea of what Hollywood is really like. Because I mean, obviously, people know the Weinstein brothers made these movies, and if you're looking back on the shit that was going on with Harvey, and you kind of translate it into what was going on in this movie, particularly with Sydney's mother, it kind of is like, well, we're kind of reading between the lines a little bit here. So I don't know if that was intentionally done when they made this movie or not, but it's just something that I noticed in the present day. But yeah, outside of that, like I said, I'm with y'all. This movie don't do it for me at all. But if we got kills,
Oh, we do.
yeah,
I think we all do.
y'all
whole
can let
thing,
loose.
I'm sorry. Killed the whole entire movie.
If cloning cell phones wasn't bad enough, apparently they can clone voices now.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
I didn't understand that when I first saw the movie, and that was when I was like 8. Like, how do you do that? Where is this technology?
Literally cloning everyone and their mother's voices, because he even had his dead mother's voice somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That's that government technology.
Right.
Like they had it back then for sure. But like, how do regular people in this small town, Woodsboro? Where is Woodsboro?
They were in Hollywood for this one.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were on the
Still,
back lot.
Like, where are they getting this government technology from?
Woodsboro is in California too.
See, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like Woodsboro's in like the countryside, and then you got Hollywood. Yeah.
Well, I got
But
my horror movie map of all of the towns and the locations they supposedly take place in.
not surprised.
yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, no, we don't see that technology today, so I was really just confused by that.
They got it today. But back then, nah.
Obviously, the movie's got a stupid fucking premise. Like,
Yo.
I'm going to kill my sister after 2 people have tried to kill her because she had to live through 2 people trying to murder her because our mother was a whore, but I got put up for adoption and she didn't. Like, and rich, famous fucking movie producer, like, turned out pretty fucking well for yourself compared to what Sydney went through, but you need to get revenge on her. She's a crisis counselor in the middle of nowhere who's had to change her name because motherfuckers keep trying to stab her. You're making movies in fucking Hollywood and you have the issue, not her.
Yeah.
I'd be more pissed that I wasn't given up for adoption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In theory, Sydney should totally be the killer, but yeah. That's some sad shit. I was never on board with the whole thing about Roman being the one that puts all this shit in motion, because that's too elaborate. Like, okay, so your mother rejected you, so you followed her around with a video camera in the 90s and happened to catch her with someone else's husband, so that you took that footage and you went to a high school with a bunch of kids and handed them this footage and say, hey, I see your dad with this lady who just happens to be my mom, but we probably didn't disclose that. And you say, look, you probably want to get revenge, don't you? Let me show you how to get away with murder, literally. And like, this is too much. This is too much that you telling me that he just masterminded throughout at least the first movie. There's no way. It don't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
Can't get me there. And the thing about Dion too. The thing was he was talking about how it's stupid it is to be in this empty ass house during what's going on, but you there. like why are you still there, and why did you still then go disappear off with somebody else, knowing everything that was going on? Like you kind of did this
Dr.
to yourself.
Umar, man, would be ashamed.
Dead ashamed. And so you kind of did this to yourself, and then you get stabbed and you start yelling for the police in a mansion that is empty, that clearly has no streets around it nowhere. Like, nah, bro, you did this all to yourself. I this one Black Death I don't feel bad for. I'm sorry. I refuse to. Katie, you got any kills?
I think Matt has more. I just want to keep hearing Matt's.
Dewey getting knocked out with a perfect fucking knife throw.
I knew I forgot something. Yes.
He got hit directly between the eyes with the butt of the knife and was knocked unconscious.
Yep.
The fact that Dewey was a cuck, after all the bullshit he has been through, he is chasing around the actress that is playing his ex-girlfriend, who is clearly fucking her bodyguard, while he sleeps in the fucking trailer outside her estate.
Yep.
Man, they did the WCW World Heavyweight Champion wrong in this series. Repeatedly.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Randy's sister showing up with the exposition VHS so we could get Randy in one more movie, because as you said, he should not have died. He should have made it to last, but oh fuck, we killed him. So here's his sister, and here's a movie that he made in case he died for you guys to watch if someone miraculously came back and tried to kill you all again.
Yeah. And he basically said he died because he broke his own rule. He lost his virginity.
Mm-hmm. Well, shout out to Randy for that. I'm happy someone touched it. Like, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't want to die the video store nerd who never got done. So you got to appreciate that, though.
He was Woodsboro's least wanted, Malibu's most wanted. Also, the whole Sydney's mom and the visions thing didn't work for me. I didn't understand it. It didn't make sense as to why they added that aspect into the movie. Also, like the ending where it was like, obviously she was having visions out in the middle of nowhere when nobody was there. And then she was having visions on the movie set, but then they almost made it seem like Roman was creating the visions for her. Like it was very confusing and got very convoluted, and fuck that shit.
Yeah. See, I wasn't even going to bring that up because that just pissed me off completely. Because she was the only person seeing it.
Why it's a stab.
She was the only person seeing it. So, and I didn't even think that he was actually walking with that bag over, at least not in that original scene, like in the studio set. Like the last scene was one thing, but I don't even think that should happen before. I think she was just seeing that. But
which is why it's confusing, because how does he know she's seeing visions?
Right. Like that just everything about the mom in this was, I was off board completely.
Mm-hmm.
But to follow up on the knife throwing thing, the fact that he was knocked out at the bottom of the stairs in the first place, and Gail is over here calling this dude from the basement because, again, all the voices are cloned. Dumbass dude, you're sitting there like, how do I know you're not the killer? Like, don't you think that's something that the killer would say? Like, bro.
Like, Dewey's a terrible cop. Can we just like talk about that?
Oh, that was never in question.
Like, this man sucks at his job.
The dude had one job. The dude had one job in the first movie, and that was to keep an eye on the party. And he literally just said, the party, I'm going to go take a walk with Gail because, she's good looking and you guys are good here, so I'm just going to leave you.
When there's a curfew.
That too.
For a reason.
Yep.
That too. And he
not doing a motherfucking job.
And his boss literally told him to stay close to Sydney. So he did the exact opposite of what he was told to do. And she almost got killed several times in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, he is a terrible cop. No questions asked.
That is all I have, because my last one is something that I'm spitting throughout all the movies, but I'm going to save for 5 so I don't repeat myself like I do the no nudity.
See, I was going to say, is it no nudity?
No,
No.
I've already said that.
Scream
But also
3,
no nudity.
Scream 3 might as well have been PG-13 if we're keeping it honest. Like,
Yeah, no.
there was nothing. There was no real gore in here like that. It was a throat slit, but it does about the most of it, and Cotton's death. But
Which was the best part of the movie.
Yeah,
The opening scene was the best part. Like it set the stage for what could have been great, and then it was all downhill from there.
Yep.
Yeah, that more I think about it, like I enjoyed the first few minutes more than anything else because it was just tumbling.
That
after
really
that.
sucks.
Yeah. Katie, you got any kills before we?
Like Matt basically said them all, like Maureen being like a ghost, but maybe not a ghost. The whole half brother thing, like, quit trying to do half siblings in franchises. Like, it doesn't fucking work. Clearly, learn, people.
Yeah, that's the truth. It's the truth. It just does not cut it. It does not
No.
cut it. All right. So, how bad of a grade do we give these? I'm just holding off on giving it an F. I'm gonna go D.
I'm going D just because Cotton's kill was not bad enough to drag it all the way down to an F. So
True.
No, fuck. I'll be mean. I'll give it an F.
This is not the worst horror movie I've ever seen. It's not even the worst in a franchise that I've watched. I'm gonna go D plus. It still gets a D, but it's not like I can go back and rewatch it. I'm probably not gonna pay attention to most of it, but I don't
it's at
hate
least
it.
digestible, but it just
Yeah.
D for digestible.
There you go.
Yeah.
Triple D's and an
Some
F.
you just gotta turn that shit off, man. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't bad enough for you to say, yo, this shit is that garbage, but it's pretty bad though.
Yeah. You're not in a
hence
rush
me
to
not
watch
watching it for
Yeah.
this podcast.
Yeah, no, you're not in a rush to watch it, so that makes sense. But yeah, triple D's and an F. So we're gonna pick it back up and get into a positive light with part 4. Take it away, man.
Sydney wrote a book because fuck it, why not? If everyone else is gonna make money off her fucking tragedy, why shouldn't she? Part of the press tour brings her back to Woodsboro, where you guessed it, white kids are getting murdered. This time it is her niece and her niece's friends who are being targeted by the killer, or that's what we believe. Sydney tries to save her niece from becoming her, only to find out that her niece is the actual killer because she wants to be famous and she wants to be Sydney, and she doesn't want to actually have to put in any work or do anything to do it. She just wants to get online famous for being a victim. Jill even goes full Billy Loomis on her partner Charlie before getting killed by Sydney, because the first rule of a remake is don't fuck with the original.
Very true. Yeah, I got this one like right up next to the original for me. I kind of had them interchangeable because this was a nice little return to form. But whoever wants to start with thrills.
I mean,
Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby is exactly what I was gonna fucking say. That's the best character in like the whole fucking franchise. Kirby deserves better. Also saying that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kirby was a fan favorite. I loved her. I mean, every scene she was in, her obviously her knowledge of horror movies and being like a true horror savant and all of that. The scene where she has to name all of the remakes, and before he even finishes, she just lists off every fucking remake that was ever made, trying to save Charlie, who ends up killing the girl of his dreams because it took too long for her to notice him, and he's already fucking her best friend.
Yeah,
Like,
very true. Although, do believe she's still alive.
I have seen that, and I keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get there. Well, we're almost there, but I do believe there's some reasonable doubt there. But yeah, no, Kirby was definitely MVP of this movie, and I was quite upset when we got to that point in the movie because I didn't think she needed to die. If she did die, which I don't think she did.
Anthony Anderson was great in this too.
Oh man,
everything with the two cops outside the house.
I started to wonder why he was in this movie in the first place, but like after like a couple of them scenes, especially that last scene for him, it was like, okay, I'll take it. That was worth it because that just added a little something that I needed when I was watching this movie.
It's one of those things where even though these movies did have a little bit more comic commentary, like this was kind of this generation, the 2011 version of horror movies, where they added more of that comedic aspect in while keeping the same dark slasher undertones to kind of lighten the movie up a little bit between all of the killing, was a nice kind of change of pace that really, I think, sets this movie apart from obviously the last two. And it's one of the reasons why this is my favorite of the franchise. While I will acknowledge that the original is probably the best, this is my favorite of the franchise.
Yeah,
Fair.
they brought gore back because the one chick across the street, her whole intestines was out on the bed. I'm like, you ain't seen that since the original movie. Like,
Yeah.
good to know we getting serious again.
Also, that opening fucking scene where they were going through the movies to get to the girl who's been watching them, like that was fun as shit. Like that, and all of the cameos and all the people that were in there, fucking Sookie from True Blood, all the shit that they did was fun as shit. That is probably one of my favorite opening sequences in a horror movie, period. It's great.
It is really fucking good.
Yeah, the commentary on excessive sequels and remakes, shit like that, and the fact that the Scream franchise has become this thing about having a movie within a movie, and now you're actually showing them portraying a movie within a movie inside a fucking movie. It's like just peeling an onion with y'all sometimes, but yeah, that was definitely fun. And the whole idea that it was kind of going into a remake, reboot, sequel where you have the blonde who's at home, answers the phone, she gets lobbed off in the first few minutes, and then you start following, kind of the same formula, but you had a nice twist. Now, instead of the main character being the victim, the main character says, fuck that, I'm going to be the victim in the end, but I'm cutting all the throats on my way to get there. And then, Charlie, all the roles, that's the other thing too. All the roles getting flipped because Charlie seems like the nerdy guy, Randy, but it's really just Kirby because they both kind of know their shit. But Charlie kind of feigns like he's the nerdy guy when he's basically Stu, I guess. And Jill going so far to wreck herself to make this convincing. That was good.
She was fucking fantastic in this.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Like,
yeah,
the entire character, the way she played it, and then when she finally goes crazy full on at the end and explains everything that she was doing, and then even like the whole, first off, Officer Judy, like that whole scene in the hospital and everything where she finally slips up, the way she died with the paddles.
Yep.
Was great as well. Again, first rule of a sequel, don't fuck with the original. Clear. Like that whole thing was great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the shit out of that.
Yeah, definitely. Dewey is the thing was, I felt like we were finally getting somewhere with him. He's the sheriff now. Him and Gail are married, and we talked about this before. It felt like we were finally getting somewhere, and then by the end of it, it was like, okay, let's see where this goes now. Gail hitting writer's block. I thought that was interesting. Like the one time she had nothing to talk about, write about, when everything seems like it's calmed down until like the shit started up again. And then you see Sydney out here is going on a whole press tour and shit like that. Like she never had all of that, but here's Sydney who never wrote nothing in her life, but she just, had all this going on, and now she got herself front and center on top of everything.
Yeah, could have wrote about Deputy Judy and her lemon square.
Oh man,
everyone loves her lemon square.
That was fun. that was fun. The whole thing, like,
And that's the best part about these movies is it's always a whodunit, and they throw you off really well because, to be honest, outside of like her wholesome, good kind of Stepford wives mentality, Judy was kind of creepy in this movie. Like
yes.
there were a lot of fucking scenes where her big ass fucking eyes were open and she's coming out of dark shadows and shit. And you're like, maybe she's the fucking killer. Maybe this person's the killer. Maybe, the boyfriend and all the bullshit. And they do a fantastic job. And this really brought that back because that was something that was very big about the original was you never really knew who the killer was. And when you thought who it was, they got exonerated. And then you're like, okay, so they're not the killer, but then they are. And yeah, no, I enjoy the shit out of it.
Yeah, there was a couple moments where I thought it legit was her because she had like Billy's mom eyes at one point, because like especially in that final scene in part 2 where she just had her eyes like wide the whole time, and when they was in the house and she just popped up on Sydney out of the shadows and shit, I'm like, I know we have a thing about making it obvious, but like, are you just telling us 20 minutes into the movie who's the killer? Like, because we don't know who Deputy Judy is. She just popped up, just happened to be here. And now she's up here walking up on Sydney talking about, do you remember me, with those big ass eyes? Like, all right.
Want to try my lemon square?
Yeah, like you and your little pastries and your lemon squares. Like, what are you trying to tell us this early on? Yeah. That was wild.
You got anything, TC? You've been all quiet.
Yeah.
Nah, man. So yeah, I told you I skipped this one because like the first time I watched it, I watched 3, and I told you 3 was terrible to me. And then I watched 4 right after it. And this is years ago. So like that stink from 3 was on it. But now that I'm hearing what you guys are saying, I'm gonna go rewatch it this time.
You do
And I'll
need to
get back
rewatch
to you.
it.
Yeah. Instead of skipping it. So
Yes.
I'll watch 1, 2, and 5. Because I thought 3 and 4 were that bad that I was like, yeah, I don't have time.
No, 4 was refreshing because
But now that I remember it, like, yeah, I remember I kind of was like in 4. But years go by, you forget. So
Yeah.
I got some things to say about 5 though. So
so do I.
Yeah. But first, what kills do we have from part 4?
The only one I have is the fact that Charlie is another fucking dude who was finally about to get what he wanted, like Billy, who finally got the pussy that he was trying to get. And we'll talk about stuff with Billy in the next movie too that also doesn't make sense, but neither here nor there. Finally gets what he wants and then still stabs her. And not the way she was trying to get stabbed. This girl Kirby was putting the moves on little Macaulay Culkin's little brother.
Mm-hmm.
He could have gone upstairs. He could have fucked. He could have had that post-nut clarity. And no, what does he do? He stabs her in the stomach and kills her.
Yeah.
Supposedly kills her. Maybe. And there is no multiverse scenario where I am taking fucking Jill over Kirby.
Oh yeah, no. That was just dumb. That was really dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to put in my thrills though. What was dude's name? That was Charlie's dude. That friend with the fucking camera on his head. All the fucking time. He was funny. He was funny as shit.
I don't remember his name.
He was. I kind of had the feeling like I thought he might be gay for some reason. Like there was something about his character where I was like, maybe he is like the gay outlier who might survive this, but he also got killed.
Yeah.
And got drunk.
Doesn't he scream
I'm
gay before getting stabbed?
Yeah, I think so.
Because they said they had the whole thing about in the cinema club scene where they said basically the only way to survive a modern horror movie you pretty much have to be gay. So dude was drunk getting stabbed talking about, wait, I'm gay. You can't kill me.
But you don't know if he was actually gay or if he was saying that so he didn't die.
And the thing was too, what's funny is I'm positive that was Charlie killing him because it's like he was in rage mode because that's when Trevor showed up and cock blocked him right when he finally was about to get it. And now he's all pissed off. So he's like, okay, well, somebody gonna catch So nothing he said in that moment was gonna save him.
Robbie.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
just looked
There
it
you
up too.
Yeah,
I don't know if he did, so.
yeah. Robbie was good jokes, but yeah, being gay wasn't gonna save you, homie. Contrary to what y'all believe.
Yeah.
If I had any kills. Oh, Dewey once again not being a great cop, but you know we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Well, I only was
Woodsboro, Adam Pierce.
basically. I I don't even know if I so much put it on Dewey though. It's like you hired a bunch of dudes who are just not good at all at their jobs. Like yeah, like Anthony Anderson sitting up here looking at high school girls and shit, but don't hear nothing going on until it's too late. Like, and who was that? That dude.
Adrian Brody?
I think it's Adam. Adrian's
Adam
the big,
Brody.
yeah, Adrian's
Adam
with the
Brody.
big ass nose. Yeah, I don't know where Adam dipped off to, disappeared to, but yeah. Yeah, y'all are terrible. Dewey's hiring practices are also not very, very well because that
Apparently, all it takes is a lemon square.
clearly,
Fuck out of here with the lemon
clearly,
squares.
at least he survived that movie.
Tell me you didn't want to taste your lemon square.
Lemon square is delicious, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, they was probably banging, and
a little powdered sugar on top.
I want to say, and Gail was big hating because she knows those joints was good, and she gonna tell everybody they taste like ass. So nah, don't even front like that. You were just mad in the moment because you know Dewey tried to tell you can't be part of this meeting. Oh,
Yeah.
and that too, kind of because like I don't know why all of a sudden Dewey got a big head because he's the sheriff, acting like Gail didn't save him on numerous occasions and help him through this shit. Like, oh, because she's your wife and she's a civilian in your town, you all of a sudden just gotta act like you can't tell her shit. That didn't make sense at all.
That's why they got divorced.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a theory about that too. But
This man had a lot of issues, and he finally got that position of power
Bro,
and it
it's
went
a lot
straight
of
to his
trauma,
head.
man.
Yeah.
That's all it was, is trauma, and she couldn't deal with it. Like she had trauma going on too. It just didn't work out. There's no hard feelings. It seemed like, I mean, we're skipping a little far ahead. My bad, but
nah, that's true though. It's true. It's some sad shit. But yeah, I don't have a lot of kills from this one. This, like I said, they got back to basics a little bit, and this to me is interchangeable with part one as the best one in the franchise, if you ask me personally. Then we got any more kills?
No.
Good. All right. Grades for part 4.
A-.
I'll give
TBD.
it an A. I'll give it an A.
I give it an A-.
All right. And until we get part 6, this is where we're going to finish up on part 5. And this one's a doozy. So Matt, one last time, take it away.
So Billy Loomis had a kid, which negates the entire motivation of the fact that he had blue balls in the first movie, which is why he went on a killing spree, because apparently he was getting some side pussy that no one knew about. And that woman had a boyfriend, and she lied to the boyfriend and married him, and then he actually got her knocked up. And then the kid found out that Billy was her dad because she read her mom's diary and outed her. And then the dad left, and then she left, and now her sister is being attacked by someone dressed up like her dad from 1996. And she comes back with her boyfriend, clearly got fired from the bowling alley they were at, because you don't get vacation like that when you're working at a bowling alley in your 20s. That don't happen. We've got basically what they call a requel in this movie, where everyone that dies is somehow related to someone in the original franchise, whether it's Billy's daughter or Randy's nieces and nephew or Stu Macher's sister's son or cousin or some dumb shit. Everyone is related to the original cast somehow. Dewey is retired and divorced. Judy is the sheriff. The killers turn out to be two obsessed fans who met online, who did not like the latest Stab movie, so decided to make their own in real life. One of them was best friends with Tara, and the other was fucking Tara's sister Sam, who were the two main characters in the movie. Yeah.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
it is it's something. It's something. So we get the thrills. I don't have this movie quite up there with like it's definitely on the top half compared to like movies that were good to bad, but I don't know. Watching it the second time, I don't know. I'm more on the fence about it. But what are thrills?
See, I'm the opposite. I was on the fence about it the first time I watched it, and the more I've watched it, the more I've kind of enjoyed the movie, even though the premise I have issues with, which we'll talk about. But
Yeah.
Judy's son getting that knife to the neck, that was great. That
was
kill
cold.
was fantastic.
All the kills, like
Mhm.
the velocity of the stabbing now was just like different. Like, I don't know. So they were just on some shit in this movie.
That's the anger when you have a bowling alley salary. You just gotta get that shit out, especially in post-COVID times.
Yeah.
I don't know if COVID existed in this universe, but if it did, okay. Sound like they getting fucked up out there. Okay.
I thought DMX came over.
Hey,
Oh man.
a little anger.
Yeah. Man.
We also got two really big surprise kills in the. Well, I think one big surprise. I mean, she got off and from the last movie, so I didn't really expect her to go that quick. But obviously, the big surprise kill, they finally killed off Deputy Dewey.
called that one.
By the way, after let's see, 1996 to what was it, 2021?
Mm-hmm.
So we're just shy of 30 years. We're looking at what, like 24 years, 23 years, 24 years, something like that.
25.
25.
Yeah.
25 years has never learned how to fucking shoot at a target from a distance.
Told you, terrible cop.
Was a guy that was a deputy, then a sheriff, and
didn't
Personal
finish
bodyguard.
the fucking job either. This is my thrills and my kills, so like it's in both.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing it because I called it. I was thinking like, yo, somebody from the original has to die in this. I don't think it's gonna be Gail. I really feel like you can't have it be Sydney. Like Sydney has to survive Sydney has to be in the next 20 years of Scream movies. Like Jamie Lee Curtis, she has to. So it couldn't have been her. So process of elimination.
Well, and this was the thing too. Like Dewey was just my go-to when it came to, obviously a legacy character was going to die at this point, but it was the fact that not so much that Sydney couldn't die, but if we're being realistic, who's cheated death this many times and been this on the edge of dying that it's like, how is he going to survive if everyone, if someone else dies out of that group? So it was like, well, he's damn near dead anyway. Let's just finish him off. And then it was worse because of the fact that he's now not a cop anymore. He's divorced. Him and Gail split. It's like, you just made the shit. Yeah, he just made the shit so much worse. So it's like they made it obvious what was going to happen, and then they just made you feel worse about it as the movie started. So
Yeah.
That's what pissed me off about it. Because I kind of figured it was coming.
Okay, you got any thrills? I don't want to take everything from you.
Randy's niece and nephew, I think, are a good, like, they're probably like the two best characters in like this new group of kids. Like those are the best two right there.
Yeah.
Because I only saw it once, so it's not as like I don't have a lot memorized about it, but just those two make every scene they were in, and I'm pretty sure it was his niece who like explained like what a requel is, basically like telling you what this fucking movie is. So and of course it makes sense that it's fucking Randy's niece and nephew. So yeah, they're the best two people in this movie.
They were my front
100%.
runners to be the killers. I wanted them to be the killers in this movie because that was just perfect symmetry to me.
How dare you?
Listen, the way I lost my shit when dude was on the couch and his girlfriend's like, I think I'm ready. Let's go upstairs and fuck. And he goes, I'm gonna have to pass. I'm 90% sure that you're not the killer, but I think we're just safer down here with all these people.
Well, see,
and then she got pissed and stormed out.
Yep.
The fact that his sister had game like no other, like she's sitting there and he's like, what are you gonna do? And she's like, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna watch this movie, I'm gonna get high, and I might fuck around with her. And then just looked over at her, just kind of smirked. Like, and Francis is all like, yeah, all right, cool, I'm in. Let's do this.
She's an icon. I love her.
Mindy was the shit.
Yeah, no, Jasmine Brown is definitely up there. Yeah. You remember I brought this up before. So everyone here has seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the second movie I've now seen where Mikey Madison was a killer, and not only did she get her face completely fucked up, but she was also set on fire before she died. Because and for those who don't know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she was one of the Manson killers, but because of the twist that Quentin put on the movie, yeah, instead of cutting up Sharon Tate and everyone else, she went to the wrong house with the dude and it just got fucked up by
Brad Pitt that's tripping out on acid.
Oh my god. this didn't lose no step in what he was doing. Then sick the dog on her, had her face chewed off. And then DiCaprio come out with the flamethrower while she's in the pool and just torch her ass. Like, damn. But nah, when she was by the stove again, I'm like, damn, we just light her on fire every time she go on screen now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when they made the killer reveal, it was kind of just like,
okay,
yeah, it didn't hit the way it usually does, because now it's like the field had been so narrowed out. It's like, what are we left with?
And you kind of made it obvious, which like it's fine when you make it obvious, because of course in the original Stu and Billy, probably obvious from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but soon as like what was her name, Tara, is like talking to Amber, and then the killer takes over Amber's phone. Amber ended up being the killer anyway. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, because it's like, the thing was, there's certain shit that's given away. Like after the first kill in the original movie, and they're sitting all around outside school and shit, and they're talking about it, and Sydney was like, "How do you gut somebody?" And Stu literally sits up there and says, "Hey, you stab him in the sternum and you just cut down and all this other shit." And I'm like, that's very specific. I'm curious as to how
nobody questioned this man,
right? And then you had to have Billy look at him like, "Yo, shut the fuck up." That's why he said, "No, it's called tact." Like that's basically him, like, stop snitching. Yo, shut the fuck up. You talking too much. Like, and Billy kind of basically had to play that role throughout the whole movie. It's like, yo, you talking too much. You're being too fucking stupid. You need to shut up. But this one kind of, the hints were in there throughout the whole time, because this dude claimed to have never seen none of the Stab movies, but knew a bunch of shit from the Stab movies throughout the movie. If you watch, he noticed a whole bunch of stuff that was there when they met with Dewey. There was something he mentioned about it, and something that had happened to Dewey in the previous movie, stuff like that. He knew about. It's like, how do you know that if you've never seen Stab movies before? So it was kind of just there. It was telegraphed from the jump. But
I mean, Dewey literally said he was the killer in like that scene.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
guess what? He was. So dude was fucking right.
But I mean,
Damn
that was
shame.
in, like I said, that was in every movie where the killer got accused of being the killer, and then they passed it all. I mean, they did it in Scream 2 where Randy said it was Mickey. They did it in Scream 1 where Sydney said it was her boyfriend. Every time they've accused, I think the only one is Scream 3 where they didn't actually, and 4 because Charlie might have been accused, but not
Jill.
Sydney's
Jill.
niece, Jill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that makes sense. And shout out to the sister because she, first off, I expected her to be dead by the time we got to the next scene.
Man.
The fact that she survived that, number one, and then number two, from the hospital, like can barely walk and was still just like pushing that
Fuck outta
damn
here.
wheelchair, like you know that chick knows how to at least attempt to survive.
fuck Terry.
Oh, fuck up.
'Cause- Ooh,
Bro,
what did she do?
what happened?
When you get to kills, I'll tell you.
Okay, does anybody else have any thoughts? I need to hear this. Does anybody else have any thoughts?
Oh yeah, let's go. Just go
Yeah,
right
no,
into
fuck
that.
this.
Okay,
Let's,
please elaborate, sir.
The whole opening scene of the movie where she gets the phone call and he's like, "What's your favorite scary movie?" And she's like, "Oh, what the fuck? The Babadook." And then she starts talking about elevated horror and she's like, "Ask me something I know, like Hereditary or It Follow." Like those, I fucking hate those movies. I hate elevated horror. I hate that whole fucking genre of horror movies. And the fact that she was a fan as I'm listening to her talk, I wanted to stab her in the fucking face. Like I was rooting for her to die at that point. I really was. I was like, less of these people in horror fandom, please. Waste her.
See, but I like that though. That was a nice little. It was a new
It
wrinkle.
was a
to
great
it.
satire.
Yeah,
I
like,
needed
it was,
her to go.
It was a change of pace because it was like it's not your traditional horror fan, and you know it just it brings in that new audience that has been watching those films too. So like I like that. I'm with you. I don't watch those movies either, but I like that part that they put in there. I thought it was good.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've gone off about my feelings about It Follows on this podcast. I will not do that here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But I have no issue with the fact that they brought the movies in because it is part of horror. And honestly, if you guys like those kind of movies, like more power to you. They're not for me, but I'm not going to say no one should like them. Like again, I talked about this earlier with Will. There's something in wrestling for everyone. Not everyone's going to like the same shit. And if everything was the same, you wouldn't have the broad fan base that it has. Same thing with horror movies. It's out there. I personally don't like it. I was just mad that she didn't die. Like you can be a fan, but she should have died.
yeah. The only one of those that kind of got on my nerves when it was over, when I forget if she shot the last dude or whatever, and she said I still like the Babadook. Like, nah, it wasn't. That
And the thing was,
it was not called for.
later on with Mindy and her friend, where they're like, "Oh well, Jordan Peele's great," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, Jordan Peele's movies are great." That is the exception, and I agree with Mindy. But the other shit you guys were talking about, the Babadook, Hereditary, the Vivitch, It Follows, trash.
I
In
don't
my opinion.
understand
In my
how the
personal
fuck.
opinion.
No, listen. People hype up Hereditary like it's the best fucking movie in the world. That movie's god awful,
It's just
fucking
creepy.
terrible. That movie sucks. The Vivage, I also watched, suffered through. Terrible fucking movie. How people like those, I'm giving them shit for. I don't care if you like them or not. No, you don't deserve to like those because they're fucking terrible.
Hereditary had one good scene, and that was the decapitation.
That was it. That was it.
The Witch is a beautifully shot movie and a great period piece that is boring as fuck to sit through.
Dude, it beautifully, like you said, beautifully shot. But nothing fucking happens in that movie. Please, nobody watch it. It's not
Any
worth
of y'all
the
seen
time.
The Boy?
Yes.
Awful.
Terrible.
Just god awful.
Well-
There was a movie that came out like just before the pandemic. It was a horror movie, like The Turning or some shit like that. I think it was what it's called. That was one of the worst movies I ever seen in my life.
Well, the thing was like The Boy was. I was okay with it until you got to like the climax and you find out
Yeah.
that it's a grown ass man in a mask living in the
Hidden
walls.
in the walls, bro.
Like that just
Get that
threw
shit
it everything
outta
out.
here.
Like, nah, that
Mm-mm.
everything from that point on, like, okay, just throw the whole movie away because you just ruined it for me.
Throw it all
I
away.
was good with It Follows for the first 15 minutes of the movie until I found out it was a ghost STD and nothing fucking happened after that. And then I said, fuck this movie. And the fact that they tried to recreate the magic that Halloween was, but with an invisible killer that no one can see or touch or hurt, that never goes away, that is passed along through sex like an STD. No, fuck that movie. Fuck that movie.
I
First
would like a
15 minutes are
podcast
great,
where we
though.
can just shit on movies. Can we make that happen soon?
Oh, I'm all for negativity.
Yeah,
Cool. We'll make it happen.
I will gladly do that with you guys any day
Good.
because I have plenty of feelings about movies like that, like you guys do. So
I also didn't like the way she said the Babadook because she's like the Babadook, and I'm like, I don't think that's how it's pronounced. I really don't.
I don't think she deserved to die, but
No, she did.
oh, okay. Whatever.
nah, I mean if that's her lone flaw, I'm like, you can survive one more movie. She'll probably die.
She
in the next
came
one.
back with it at the end of the movie, like you said. She came back and she was like, I still like the Babadook. Like, please someone shoot her.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, look,
that
like
was
I
not
said,
needed.
Yeah, it did. That the situation did not call for that. But
Yeah.
you know, she'll probably go in the next movie anyway.
Good.
I've never seen the Babadook. It seems trash. I'm gonna watch it later.
I haven't either. It's not on my watch list.
I've never heard of it. I've never until this. I've never heard of it, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
looks
Watched it.
terrible. What the fuck is this thing?
I watched it one time. My wife actually enjoyed it the first time we watched it. I never went back and watched it again. I thought about giving it a second chance, and I just had better things to do, like rewatch Halloween for the 1,767th time.
There you go. That's a good way to rinse out the bad taste of whatever bad movie you watched out. It's never a bad call to go with. One of the biggest kills for me was the whole thing about Billy. We already mentioned the fact that it completely destroys the whole narrative of part one. Makes none of it makes sense, and also the timeline doesn't add up because
This chick is like 22 years old.
right. So it's like you telling me that this chick had the baby after you went on a killing spree and killed everybody. So like it doesn't fit. So that means she had to at least have been pregnant while you were still with Sydney. Like, no. You were sitting up here stressing over not getting to smash Sydney while you had basically a baby coming that you may or may not have known about.
The only thing that can get, that can make sense to me is that this dude just snapped, right? And that's it. But I don't get it. So you was just smashing somebody who was like 16 years old, and then
Somebody's
like you had your
girlfriend.
motive. Yeah, that also. So like you have that motive of wanting to kill Sydney. I think the motive makes sense. Like still, like kind of ruin my home life, but you're doing the same thing, bro.
But Sydney didn't ruin his home life. Sydney's mom did.
Sydney's
and
mom,
he already
yeah.
killed Sydney's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That should have been the end of it. Imagine I killed your mom and I fucked you. Like, revenge over. We're good to go. Again, post-nut clarity. I've gotten everything I needed out of this situation.
Yeah.
But he's fucking some other dude's girl.
Killing spree at that point. Like, he probably wasn't expecting her to still not let him smash after all these kills. Like, he thought, like, I'm gonna get a couple kills off. You're gonna let me smash. That's gonna be it. And then he just had to keep up the facade after a while. That's the only way it makes sense to me.
That was just a scenario of he just had to conquer that particular pussy. Like
He definitely could have just killed Stu and blamed it all on Stu at any point during the movie.
Oh, of course.
He got away with it.
Yeah.
That sounds like what he would have ultimately did anyway.
I'm surprised he didn't think of that sooner, because Stu was really trying to fuck the bag up.
he was. That's what I was saying before. Like he just start, that scene where he start telling me, like
I've seen a bunch of mafia movies. They get rid of the problem if the problem needs to be getting rid of.
yeah,
Nope.
like she's asking him how can you gut someone? He starts going into detail like, what if you just shut the fuck up, sir?
Right, we killing him off immediately, man.
Like,
On some like we
You
all
drown
seen
him in
Goodfellas,
that
right?
fountain right there. Like,
yeah, no.
We all seen Goodfellas, right?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yep.
They got rid of Samuel L. Jackson immediately because he fucked up one time. Like,
that is true.
we talking about y'all
That
watch
is
horror
true.
movies. Y'all watch all these horror movies. Y'all need to go watch these mafia movies too. They tell you something you need to know.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got done with The Offer, which is fucking fantastic, by the way. It's on Paramount Plus. It's about the making of The Godfather. It is great.
I might have to watch that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Love me behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. The other thing too is like how that ties into what's her name, Sam.
Why was
Ghost
she?
Billy is not it.
What was the point of all that?
It was never going to be it. So I don't know why we.
You just had to get Skeet Ulrich back in the movie, like what
I
everybody
mean,
else.
I wasn't complaining because that man's fine as fuck. I don't care what anybody says, so I was okay with it, but just for aesthetic purposes.
You literally took the worst part of the worst movie in your franchise and brought it the fuck back. Sydney seeing her ghost mom.
Okay.
And you're like, hey, you know what? Let's do that, but we'll do it with our main protagonist in this movie and her dad, who was the killer. Like, why would you use anything from that trash ass film? I get it. You wanna. We talked about this with the Halloween later remakes where they did homages to other films and everything.
Right.
That's the
I get
problem
that,
with
but
reboots.
don't do it with that fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna go into a rant, but like that's the problem with all these reboots these nostalgia reboots from all these 90s films that they just feel the need to have to continue to put out because they can't think of anything fucking original. And when they do think of something original, it's trash. So that's why they keep putting out all these reboots and shit. And they feel the need to have to reference every single possible thing that happened in the series in this one reboot movie. And then you get Ghost Billy. That's exactly what happens. Because you had to reference something that happened in the third movie, and there was nothing else that was worthy of referencing in the third movie besides that.
there are ways to do it where you do little Easter eggs for fans of the franchise that are kind of homages but aren't overly obvious. And I think Halloween 2018 did a great job of that.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of scenes reminiscent of kills from other movies that aren't straight up shot for shot remakes that if you're a big fan of the series, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's where that's from. And there's a good way to do it. This was a bad way. Also, why the fuck did Sydney come back for this? This had nothing to do with, you got kids and a husband. The fuck did you come back and get yourself involved in all this shit for? They weren't even coming after you.
Died.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So-
really what did it. That's really
So
what did it. Like, she doesn't show up because he calls her, but she says, okay, well, it's going on again, but it has nothing to do with me. So she stayed the fuck away. Then Dewey gets killed, and now, like, no phone call. She just shows up.
Dewey was drinking himself to death anyway in that fucking little trailer park he was living in.
Yeah.
You could have just stayed the fuck out of this one, Sydney. That
Yeah.
that is where I took issue where TC was like, she needs to be in every movie. If there was a reason for her to be in, absolutely. But there was no reason for her to show back up for this movie. This had nothing to do with you. Nobody was coming after you. You were safe and fine.
Yeah.
Stay the fuck home. Raise your children.
Yeah, that is true. And my really big kill about is we talked about, Dewey, and my thing is how he got killed, because as we said again,
Dude.
over 20 plus years, you don't know how to shoot one, but also you got distracted by your phone ringing in the middle of shooting.
You was about to finish somebody off, which you should have did the first time, stupid fucker. I knew he was about to die right there, because like as soon as you shot this dude, I was like, you're not gonna shoot him in the head.
Right.
Well, props to them for making him reload his gun and counting how many shots he got off. Because I counted the first time. I was like, okay, 2 right off the bat.
Yeah.
Then there were another 3. And then there was one more. He better not go back without reloading that gun. And sure as shit, he went back and reloaded that gun. I'm like, all right, okay.
I'm telling you, they built this up to make us as depressed as possible, because they gave us the illusion that Dewey got smart. And then again, the phone rang, and it's like, that's how you go out, bro?
Like, who was you expecting to get a call from?
Right. Like, come on.
Like,
now.
you're retired, you're depressed, you probably have no friends, you don't talk to anybody.
Come on.
He was probably
you're
surprised he got a call. At that
Drinking and
point,
watching your ex-wife on TV, being famous
Yeah.
without you.
you set
Send
your
it-
alarm every morning to watch your ex-wife on TV.
Sending emojis. That too. Sending emojis. I'm killing that shit too. Because nah,
At least
man.
he was aware that he shouldn't have sent the emoji.
Yeah, because it's like, listen, you're not talking to somebody who you.
I wouldn't have
haven't-
sent that second message to begin with, but
Yeah,
neither here nor there.
like this was your wife. This wasn't somebody that you've still been pursuing for X amount of years, right? Y'all was living together. Y'all had a life together. Like, stop it. But yeah, this it's just the way my man went out sad. Like I knew, like I said, I knew it was coming. It's just the way it happened just made it so much worse. We got any more kills, thrills, anything?
One last thing, because I know we're running on it being the Havoc 2 hours instead of Havoc hour. I hate the term elevated horror because it makes it seem as if all other horror movie is lowbrow, lower, less than, for the people who enjoy it aren't intellectually or are intellectually inferior. So the idea that this is horror, but it's elevated for people with a higher status or a higher intelligence really pisses me off. And that's another part of the reason why I hated most of those movies. And again, the only ones I like are like Us and the stuff that Jordan Peele has done. So
See, that's what I'm saying though. Like elevated horror, that comes from those film students from Scream 2. Like those types of people. I'm so serious. They love Hereditary, and when I watched Hereditary, I was like, this is it. Like this is what y'all was hyping up this whole time. Like I guess because I'm like you, man. I'm used to slashers. Like I'm cool off of a lot of the psychological horror, because I think Insidious was the peak of all that, and everything else has just been trying to copy off of it unsuccessfully ever since then. Like I didn't really understand Midsummer either. It's another one.
Yeah, that was just disturbing.
Yeah,
I
that
just
was
watched it for
odd.
my girl Florence Poe. I love her.
Yeah, Florence is dope.
Oh yeah,
But
she's solid. It all of that was just.
I didn't get it.
Like I thought I was high at some point watching that movie. Because
But that's the thing with every A24 film, they act like it's this highbrow art.
oh man, X. Wow.
I actually really enjoyed X.
I didn't know how to feel about it. Like I don't know like what the motivation is behind like so you like 100-some years old and you're not getting none, so you just gonna kill them because they get like I don't know. Man.
Seems like a good reason though.
I mean, the entire motivation for this franchise basically started because Billy couldn't get some pussy. And now this old lady's out there, her husband can't get his dick up, so she is forcing herself on people who come and stay at their ranch, and then killing them so that they don't talk about it. And then they had the audacity to go and make a porno in their garage with this horny old 100-year-old woman in the house who can't get some dick. I think that is a very justified reason. And mind you, when it's set, now she's also watching what must have been terrifying for her is interracial sex, which I guarantee was not a thing for them in that time period.
Probably not.
At her age. She came from a time where the water fountains were separated. The beds definitely were.
Yeah. Black dude was smashing everybody. Like that can't have been going over well.
Oh no.
And in the South?
Yeah, this is true.
In Texas?
Yeah, it's the wrong place. Oh man, so now that we done got way off topic, what are our grades for Scream 5 or Scream?
C. Just a good old C.
I'll say C plus. Right around the average in there.
I'll do solid C.
Okay.
I think I gave Scream 2 a B minus. So I'm gonna go C plus because I'm very in between on which of these two I like better. Because like I said, the more I've watched this movie, the more I've enjoyed it for the characters and some of the things they've done. But I'm one for either 2 or 5, and then 3 is the bottom.
Yeah. I think we
think-
that's that's something we can kind of agree on. Because I think we all got 3 at the bottom cellar. I think.
Yeah.
And for me,
I put the TV show just under 3, but that's it.
I never got around to watching the show.
I watched
First
like one
season,
episode.
the first season was okay, but I didn't watch anything after that.
I watched the entire thing. I enjoyed it, but it's kind of like the Child Play remake, where if they hadn't called it Child's Play and they had just called it Buddy. See, you're making that face, but that was actually a really good fucking movie. The problem was,
No, I agree. That's
Listen.
the only thing that got me mad about it.
as a remake of Child's Play, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But as its own thing, if they had just called it Buddy and not linked it to the original movie, it would have been a great fucking fun horror movie to just go watch.
Yeah.
That you would have been like, okay, that's kind of like Child's Play, but they did their own thing. The fact that they called it Child's Play, they named the kid Andy and all that shit,
Right.
that's where they fucked up. Same thing with Scream. If this was just a slasher, like there's literally a show out called Slasher that's got Katie McGrath in it, that the first season was fantastic. If they had done something like that and it was a lot like Scream, but they didn't call it Scream because it couldn't use the Scream mask and all the other shit, it would have been a fun fucking CW teen slasher horror show. Like,
Yeah. That's cool. I might still catch it. Who knows? It's on Netflix or something. Favorite movie in the franchise. I think we got most of them already. Yeah. You got 4. You got 1. I think I'm gonna stick with 1. It's like neck and neck between it and 4, so it changes any given day. But I'm gonna stick with 1 at the moment. Just like with Halloween, it's hard to beat the classics.
Very rarely will I put a sequel over the OG,
Yeah.
and this is no exception. Like, one, the cast was stacked too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it was stacked at the time, but like over time, it's crazy.
Yeah.
No.
You got Shaggy, you got B-Rad. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson's ex-wife.
Who's that?
What's the chick that was in Charmed was married
Rose
to Marilyn
McGowan.
Manson. Yeah, Rose McGowan.
Oh,
Yeah.
her
Love
weird
Charmed.
ass. She's so weird.
I forgot all about that. Woo. Anyway, so I want to thank my panel for bringing it back. I know it's been a while, far few in between. We do these episodes, but we always have a good time doing these. So before we get out of here, obviously, all my people that do their great content, plug your socials, let the people know where to find you, what you've been doing. Ladies first.
I knew I was going first.
I mean, you
can
got the
follow
most shows anyway, so.
True. Okay. You can follow me on Twitter at KaterAsson13. The link to my bio to take you all the things She Elite Showcase. Twitch.tv/She Elite Showcase, typically Thursdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, unless something happens. YouTube.com/She Elite Showcase. I always say go watch the videos because they're way more entertaining. Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts if you want to listen. She Leads, like the weekly recap show me and Savannah do. Latest episode of that's out. Inside the Mind of is an interview series I do, which all 3 of these fine gentlemen have been on. So if you want to check those out, those are out. I have one
Everybody
drop.
on here has been on.
Like,
Technically, everybody on here has been a guest on that show.
yeah, my episode was a shit show,
It was
and I would
fantastic.
like to do it. I would like to do another one soon-ish, sober, because I think I can do it sober now.
It won't be as good.
Fuck you. But I have another one
Goldberg.
dropping on Monday. with-
Hashtag Goldberg.
Stop. Stop. Really? You guys are fucking terrible. I have an episode dropping on Monday with Will from Botch Spots and Chair Shots. That'll be a good one. It was a good conversation. In the crowd is a game show collab thing that I do that is not back yet because I don't know what the fuck to do with it. So maybe this summer, August, I don't know. But the episodes that passed are on there. And then my co-host has a New Japan show. I don't know anything about New Japan. I just upload it. It's all her.
Cool. Whoever's going next?
AC, go ahead. You want me to go?
Go ahead.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at MyRidders, Twitter only, Twitter and Instagram, Smacking Raw Pod. I run the Twitter, Vince runs the Instagram. Creation World is the banner under which the Smacking Raw podcast exists. You can find them on Twitter and Instagram at the Creation World, TheCreita World. Also, CreationWorld.com, Facebook.com/Creation World, and we have a Facebook group that is Facebook.com/Smacking It Raw, or group /Smacking It Raw. Our 5th anniversary episode will be out by the time that this is out. Also, I did an episode of Botch Spots and Chair Shots with Will, so that will be out as well. Please go check out both of those things. There will be probably a companion clip of something I said to go along with TC's favorite clip of Katie from her Inside the Mind of. So you can look forward to that, as well as a bunch of other fun shit from us. We just celebrated, again, our 5-year anniversary, so Reek, just a heads up, you are not going to be tagged in the post because I wanted to tag everyone who sent in questions to make sure they got notified because we answered their questions. So you did not make the cut. But Young Kings is, and I will share it in the group so you see it. But I know in the past, if I've forgotten you, you've called me out for it. So I'm going to give you a heads up. You were busy and didn't submit questions, so you got left out.
Yeah. As long as one of us got in there, then I'll see it. So we'll be good.
I was going to do the voice and I realized I don't know how to do the voice. So I'm going to just put my camera back on, talk about me and my plug-in socials, and then, setting timer. It's been about 8-9 minutes now. I am the thespian TC Fontaine. Follow me if you feel like it at tc.fontaine, Instagram, TC Fontaine on Twitter. Follow Young Kings Wrestling everywhere at YK Wrestling, including Instagram this time.
Yes.
We're back. As YK Wrestling on Instagram.
Because
what happened, Reek?
We got lynched during Black History Month.
Man.
Creation World lost theirs too.
On Instagram?
What?
Yep.
Damn. What was y'all posting?
That's all Travis. So apparently there is a correlation between the people who get their Instagrams taken down. Because I got nothing to do with IG.
Too many panda gifs. What's the correlation? What's the correlation, man?
Yeah, IG. What's the correlation? Instagram. What's your problem?
Lynchings. It's a bunch of lynchings. That's all I'm hearing. So Instagram, some racist hoes.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey,
very interesting.
I believe it.
I believe it.
Yeah. So, all right. Like I said, thanks to everyone for joining me, my cinema panel once again. We have plenty more of these to do, plenty more franchises to hit. But next episode has to be sports. I've been neglecting it for the longest time, so I'm going to be calling on TC once I get that set up. But for
hopefully Russell Westbrook has been traded by that time. So going there and celebrate. We still haven't had our Zoom party celebration because the Celtics lost in the finals. There's never a late time to do that.
Obi-Wan season 2 will be out by the time we get to Obi-Wan season 1.
Bro, don't even get me started on Obi-Wan. I'm still mad we haven't done it yet.
Okay. Well, that's the next cinema episode that we're gonna do. So I'm going to if I keep everything like it is right now, then we should be good. So, but for my cinema panel, this has been the Havoc Hour. I'm your host, Reek Havoc, and we will see you very soon again.
Gone.